Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unraveling a true modern-day mystery. We're looking at what happens when a total underdog, just a regular guy going about his daily chores, stumbles into a high-stakes, absolutely life-changing situation right in his own backyard. It's a crazy story of buried secrets, unimaginable wealth, and a seriously terrifying legal showdown. Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine buying a piece of land with a notoriously dark reputation, only to find yourself just 6 months later in a grueling winner-take-all fight with the United States government over an absolute fortune. I want you to really feel the suspense of this story, exactly as it unfolded. So, let's set the scene. We're anchoring our mystery in rural Kentucky back in 2016. Our main guy here is James Burnett. Now, James wasn't a rich guy at all. He was a regular, hardworking guy who made a $20,000 gamble on 100 acres of really cheap, old farmland. His goal was super simple. He just wanted to build a nice house with his wife. But, there was a reason the property was so cheap. The locals constantly whispered that the land was quote-unquote cursed, just steeped in these eerie old Civil War stories. But James, he didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in hard work, sweat, and a completely practical mindset. And honestly, nothing illustrates that practical mindset better than this next detail. James bought a cheap $200 metal detector off Amazon. He wasn't trying to be some aspiring Indiana Jones out hunting for lost treasure. He bought it for literally the most mundane reason possible. He just wanted to find old rusty nails in the dirt so they wouldn't wreck his lawnmower blades when he cut the grass.
But that simple chore quickly turned into something else entirely. Let's look at the exact moment a regular yard work day shifted into a thrilling discovery. Let's move to and see how this builds, step by agonizingly thrilling step. It's his first day mowing. The detector beeps near an old oak tree. James digs just 2 inches down and finds a rusty button. He thinks, well, cool, Civil War stuff. But the real suspense starts the following weekend. He's at that exact same tree, digging just a little bit deeper, 4 inches down, clink, he strikes metal. It's an 1863 Indian Princess gold coin. He looks it up online and sees it's worth maybe $300. Super exciting, right? But he keeps going. 6 inches more into the dirt, his shovel hits a can, a completely rusted out metal can.
When James finally pried that rusted can open, what he saw honestly defied belief. Inside were gold coins, hundreds of them, perfectly stacked like poker chips. He called his wife immediately, and she flat out refused to believe him until she marched out there and saw the gold gleaming in the dirt with her own eyes. Over the next 3 weeks, this turned into a massive granular excavation. We systematically dug up 8 separate cans, all buried in a neat little line near that same old oak tree. The final count? An astonishing 837 gold coins, all dating between the 1840s and 1863.
Let's talk about the staggering reality of what James and his wife actually just pulled out of this cursed ground. $2 million. I just want to let that massive number sit for a second. As news of the find began to leak out, experts and eager collectors scrambled to fly in, and this incredible discovery was officially dubbed the Kentucky Hoard. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between what this money was originally meant to be worth and what it was worth to history. The face value of all those coins was around $20,000, which is incredibly ironic because that's the exact amount James paid for the entire 100-acre property. But the collector value? $2 million. And the reason why is because the ground had perfectly preserved them. Many of these coins were in absolute perfect mint condition. To truly understand how unbelievably rare this find was, check this out. Out of that entire hoard, there was one specific type of coin where experts previously believed only 5 existed in the entire world. Sitting there in his living room, James Burnett realized he possessed 3 of them. Literally overnight, this guy who was just trying to clear his lawn was holding historical artifacts that cemented his status as a newly minted millionaire. But as you might expect, this celebration didn't last long. We're doing a hard pivot here in the story. The fun is over, and a seriously suspenseful legal survival mystery begins. Enter the antagonist of our explainer, the U.S. Treasury Department. They essentially knocked on James's door, armed with a terrifying, obscure legal weapon. It's an 1864 law regarding quote-unquote lost money. Essentially, if discovered currency is legally classified as lost, the federal government has the authority to step in and claim total ownership of it. Walk through this timeline of dread with me for a second. On day 1, James experiences the absolute sheer joy of unearthing life-changing wealth. By week 3, the tension completely spikes as the U.S. Treasury literally knocks on his door, threatening to take it all away. What follows is half a year of agonizing legal limbo. For 6 straight months, James Burnett woke up every single day not knowing if he was going to lose every single coin he had pulled from the earth. And this brilliantly illustrates the high-stakes battle lines that were drawn when they finally ended up in court. The government presented a very specific theory to justify taking the gold. They argued that these coins were actually stolen from a Kentucky bank during the chaos of the Civil War, making them stolen government property. But James's defense lawyers countered with pretty much the oldest rule in the book: finders keepers. The coins were buried on his private property, so he owned what was in his dirt. So who actually gets to keep the gold? Let's move to the climax of our explainer and reveal the ultimate fate of the Kentucky Hoard. So the crucial point is the legal reasoning behind the judge's decision. The judge ruled entirely in favor of James Burnett. Why? Well, because the government's bank robbery theory was exactly that, just a theory. There was absolutely zero concrete proof that those specific coins were stolen. Because they were found on private property, they belonged to James. After Uncle Sam took his inevitable cut in taxes, James walked away keeping 90% of the value. He sold majority of the hoard mostly through heritage auctions, and with that money, our underdog got his hard-earned happy ending. He paid off his mortgage, and he even bought some new land. I absolutely love this quote from James. He said, "I was just trying to avoid mower damage. I found retirement instead." And honestly, the best part of all this, despite the millions in the bank and surviving 6 months of legal terror with the U.S. Treasury, James hasn't changed a bit. He still goes out with his metal detector on the weekends just to see what else might be hiding in the dirt. Which leaves us with this final thought. The United States is absolutely full of buried history. We're talking Civil War gold, pirate stashes, forgotten cash. It is all still out there, sitting quietly in the dark. So what would you do if you heard that clink, dug into your own backyard, and pulled out $2 million? Would you keep it quiet, or would you risk the government knocking on your door? Think about that next time you take a walk in your yard. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep digging into history.